Revenge.
Hey everyone, welcome back for a brand new special edition video about that show that's also a game that just broke your mind, Black Mirror Bandersnatch. Warning, beyond this point there are spoilers for people who have not seen the Black Mirror episode Bandersnatch, along with Easter egg references to previous Black Mirror episodes. In this video, we're going to take on the Herculean task of dissecting Black Mirror's monumental experiment in interactive content called Bandersnatch. Due to the enormous scope of Bandersnatch, we've had to cut this video into multiple videos, with options to choose what else you want to see at the end of this first part. Overall, these videos will cover every known possible ending and maybe a few you haven't seen yet. We'll cover the secret ending that everyone's talking about, and we'll take you down a serious rabbit hole and go over what other possibilities and golden eggs are still waiting out there for us to find. This may be the first time you've seen an interactive video episode, but they have been around for some time now. Made popular as more of a kid's art form or for over-the-top comedy, this is the first time a serious cult classic fan-favorite show like Black Mirror has attempted this medium, and we feel they set the bar so high, we're getting vertigo just thinking about it. With literally hundreds of small iterations in the episode based on the viewer's choices, there is over 5 hours of footage for this momentous undertaking, but most people will get through the episode/game seeing at least a few of the endings in about 90 minutes.
And yes, it's got all the bases covered. The perfect game.
Well, that is a first. So your rating is?
My rating is 5 stars out of 5.
Although Bandersnatch seems infinitely complicated, the genius of it all is that the episode is foolproof, and even if the viewer makes no choices, Netflix will choose for them, and they can still watch through and get pretty much the full experience.
Fucking hell.
Before we start diving into this dizzying, demented decision-making nightmare, we're going to cover a little backstory about Bandersnatch. A Bandersnatch is actually a mythical creature created by Lewis Carroll, the author of Alice in Wonderland, and first appeared in the Wonderland sequel Through the Looking Glass back in 1872. The creature was described as having a long neck and ferocious jaws and has been depicted by many different artists and writers over the years, mostly always as a dangerous wild animal. We believe that Bandersnatch is represented by the Pax demon that you occasionally meet in the series, but we'll get more into that later. Although Through the Looking Glass does have a mirror world with another reality, Lewis Carroll's creature is more of a loose inspiration for this project than anything else. The title Bandersnatch is actually inspired by a video game also called Bandersnatch, set to be released in the 1980s that never made it to the shelves. In a time period that was kind of like the Wild West in video game technology, developers who could create these games that are now simple to us were rock stars and became instantly wealthy. This was before Nintendo would come in and inevitably change the market forever. The company Imagine Software was kind of a big deal back then, and their Bandersnatch game was supposed to be unlike any other game before it, even requiring additional hardware just to play the game.
Bandersnatch, the ultimate adventure game, which when it's finished, Imagine claim, will take you into a fantasy world.
The costs and advertising of their ambitious production slate ultimately helped bankrupt the company, who closed their doors on July 9th, 1984, coincidentally the same day that the Black Mirror episode begins as the main character Stefan wakes up. The episode eases you into this new format with a first easy choice that still maybe had a few people sweating. Stefan's dad offers him a choice between Sugar Puffs and Frosted Flakes. Now, this decision is more of a warm-up and doesn't really have a huge impact on your viewing experience, but you do get some payoffs later, as you see a commercial for the cereal you chose before you watch a VHS tape about the fictionally infamous Bandersnatch author Jerome F. Davies, who went insane and decapitated his wife.
Symbol on the walls with her blood.
As you navigate through the landscape of Bandersnatch, things get real fast. After another seemingly mundane choice of music, which does affect certain outcomes, you get to meet one of Stefan's heroes and pretty much the coolest character in the episode, fellow video game programmer Colin. Rittman is sort of a composite of a few well-known video game developers from the UK back in the 1980s. John Rittman was a well-known British programmer who actually won a Golden Joystick Award. The character is also said to be based on Jeff Minter, who liked to add a psychedelic element to his games, which we'll get into later. Minter actually plays Jerome F. Davies in Bandersnatch, and the level of meta here is pretty intense. Meeting Colin on the first time around is the only time Colin doesn't retain memory of the prior scenes. His character is extremely interesting and seems to understand that they're all trapped in a game being controlled by crazy, lazy people like us from the future.
For fuck's sake, I'll skip it for you.
After being shell-shocked by meeting his idol, Stefan gets to his first major decision. Some guy at a huge video game company just offered you a deal to get paid a ton of money to make your video game and work with one of your idols. What do?
Do we have a decision?
You take it, or in this case, you have Stefan take it. Most people take the deal, which is actually the wrong move.
Sorry, mate. Wrong path.
This is the first ending here, as the video game Stefan creates with a team is a massive failure. This one is more of a soft ending, as Stefan alludes to the fact that he needs to try again, knocking on that fourth wall, and we the viewers go along for the ride as he hits the reset button on his life to go back to July 9th. This time around, a faster version of the intro is played. Almost every time a choice brings you back, you are given a different recap that depends on the choices you have already made. This time, Colin seems to remember you and knows a lot more about the Bandersnatch game and history than he did the first time around. Now the viewer refuses the deal, but still agrees to make Bandersnatch for the fictional Tuckersoft game company. If you repeat some of the choices, you do get different outcomes, but we tried 5 different times to take the deal and got the same result every time. Once you refuse the initial deal, you're presented with a payoff for your music choice on the bus before Stefan goes home and talks to his dad about the deal he just made with Tucker. That scene leads into Stefan's first doctor visit and arguably the first choice that can drastically change what path you end up on. Stefan is seeing some sort of psychiatrist named Dr. R. Haynes, who just might be related to a certain black museum proprietor. Stefan's therapist reveals that an anniversary is approaching for a trauma centering around his mother. Stefan is asked to talk about his mother here, and you can say yes or no. If you say no, she presses you to talk about it, but eventually leaves you alone if you continue to say no. Talking about your mother triggers a flashback of the traumatic events that have helped mold Stefan and ultimately will help you unlock one of the better endings. The viewer finds out Stefan's mother did die because he made her late for her train while looking for his toy rabbit, which his father said he was too old for. Stefan and his dad watch in horror as they find out about her death on the evening news. This gives a lot more insight into Stefan's obsession with the Bandersnatch book and concept of being able to make different choices and create different realities and timelines. Again, shoving a whole lot of meta down your throat. This visit will lead to another music choice, which as far as we can tell doesn't have much real impact on the story, but with Black Mirror, you just never know. After your choice, you get to listen to that music as Stefan works but gets frustrated when Dad comes in to check on him. Here you have another choice to either pour tea over your computer or yell at Dad. If you choose to pour tea in your computer, you get another soft ending, as all of your work is destroyed and there is no cloud backup in the 80s, people. You get looped back to one of your old choices via one of these vintage TV option screens, and this time yelling at Dad will be a little satisfying as it prompts him to order Stefan out of the house for lunch. Stefan realizes he's being brought back to the doctor again, and here the viewers are faced with their biggest choice yet. You can choose to willingly go back and see Stefan's doctor, or to follow Colin, who you just randomly happen to see on the street. We're going to show what happens when you choose to follow Colin, as making this choice leads us to some of our favorite moments of this entire mind-bending episode. Colin quickly realizes that Stefan is in the hole and tells him to come to his apartment. There we meet Kitty, Colin's significant other, and their baby Pearl, who will show up again later.
Daddy's little legacy.
Colin offers Stefan a joint, which he doesn't have a choice in accepting. Colin then really stretches the definition of gateway drug, as he almost immediately offers Stefan some LSD. Whether you accept or not here, the outcome is the same, as Colin still drugs your tea if you refuse and you end up tripping face anyway. As the acid starts to kick in, we get some really cool visual effects as Colin gives Stefan the mother of all existential monologues.
People think there's one reality, but there's loads of them all snaking off like roots, and what we do on one path affects what happens on other paths. Time is a construct.
Colin brings up mirrors here, which will help unlock another choice later, and then gives his take on PAC, Pac-Man, which also helps us unlock another option later.
He's program and control man.
Colin's speech finishes, and it really adds a thought-provoking and visually trippy new element to this entire experience. The conversation gets heavy real quick as Colin brings Stefan out to the balcony and proposes that one of them jump off to prove that there are multiple realities and lives, and life is just like a video game.
How many times have you watched Pac-Man die? Doesn't bother him.
The viewer only has seconds to decide which one of the two will die. If you choose Stefan, you get to one of the first hard endings, although it isn't a good one. We find out that the game has been released in spite of Stefan's death, but it wasn't really finished and it gets a terrible review.
Horrible and violent, unsettling and weird and awful and scary and dark and bleak and...
Does anyone else hate this guy as much as us? Once you loop back to the jump decision, you can breathe a little easier as you ask Colin to jump, who does so pretty much without any hesitation. This kind of messes with Stefan's acid trip, and Kitty comes in wondering what happened to her man. As she realizes he took a nosedive off the balcony, we get our first glimpse of the demon Pax. Pax is the villain of the fictional Bandersnatch book and what we believe to be the representation of a Bandersnatch. He attacks Stefan, who is lucky enough to wake up back at the doctor's office as his dad tries to get him to go inside, and talking about people jumping isn't helping his case at all.
And Colin jumped and I didn't stop him.
Inside the doctor's office, the viewer is given a choice to make Stefan either bite on his nails or pull his earlobes. Regardless of your decision, Stefan resists the viewer's command, and it's becoming clear Stefan is aware he's being controlled. Meta-level expert. The good Dr. Haynes prescribes more medicine for the problem and sends Stefan home. Depending on your previous choices, there are 3 possible options here. The 2 standard ones are take the pills or flush them. If you chose to take the pills, you get to another hard ending, but arguably one of the more positive ones. Your game is released on time, and the review is 2.5 stars out of 5, as the critic believes Stefan went on autopilot halfway through the process of making the game. What type of message are we sending here about medicating mental illness?
If we had second chances in life, I hope they'd choose differently.
That covers a few of the endings, but we haven't even scratched the surface yet for this revolutionary new episode/game. Thanks for watching part 1 of our guide to all that is Bandersnatch, everyone. If you'd like to go through every single decision and every single path, please select the Fuck Yeah video on top. If you'd like to skip to the phone code and secret ending, select the Yes video on the bottom. What do you think? Is there content nobody has found yet or top secret endings? Please let us know your thoughts about this intense mind bender in the comment section below. Follow us on Instagram at Binge Rampage. Turn on the notifications button for our channel so you can see our next video as soon as it comes out. Don't forget to subscribe, and Happy New Year!
That was, without a doubt, the most heartfelt thing I've seen on this stage since Hot Shot began!